All right, here we are. Welcome to the Fernandez Legacy. My dear friend, Commissioner Mildred Fernandez.
It's a pleasure and an honor to be here this day with you.
It is my honor. It really is. And this is our very first episode. It's an introduction to Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, her life, her career, being a mentor, a politico, and everything about Florida and the political space that we all know about. And so I'm just going to jump in. But before we start, I just want to say that this will be an ongoing podcast series, a little bit of the insider approach, the secret sauce to politics, and Commissioner Fernandez's perspective of what's happening here in Florida, nationally, and just everything in general. Very unique approach, perspective, and you're going to want to tune in every time a new episode is posted. So I also want to say that we have our producer, Taylor Stewart, who is with us. She's off camera, and she will be asking the commissioner questions, and we'll just kind of go from there, start that conversation. So again, welcome to the Fernandez Legacy with my dear friend, Commissioner Mildred Fernandez. Let's go.
Can you tell us a little about your early life and upbringing?
Absolutely, and it will be a pleasure. I was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. My mother, that has always been my mentor, my mother was a professor at the University of Puerto Rico. So education to my mother was a prime thing. So she instilled in me the importance of being going to college. And I always attended private schools. Then I went to the University of Puerto Rico, where my mother was also a professor, but I loved to party. Oh yes. And I belong to two different sororities in Puerto Rico. And I think that really instilled in me the political side. My mother was a conservative Republican, and my mother was very much involved in politics as well in Puerto Rico. So that background did a lot to me. I remember my mother always telling me, Mildred, you're not going to complete college if you continue partying. And I said, Mom, don't worry, I'm going to graduate. I have a bachelor's degree in business education. And I think that instilled in me because my mother was an educator. And it's very interesting because when I complete college, one of the things that I did was to start working for IBM.
Yes.
And then, of course, I gave IBM 25 years. I am an IBM retiree. And the experience of working for IBM was unique. It's a corporate mind. You think differently because you think in vision, you think in big things, and that really helps you in your future endeavors. So I owe my mother everything that I am and I have been, and the way she raised me. Because the way my mother raised me is the way I raised my kids. So that was just a fantastic experience. I had a brother, and my brother was mentally challenged. He was the worst case of polio in Puerto Rico. So my mother, as a single mom, she wanted to make sure that I was highly educated because she knew that her son would never be able. And it was interesting because to all the sorority dances, the party that I would attend my brother's school.
Excellent.
So that really was a beautiful. My mother was very strict, but very, very lovable, very lovable. And she was a writer of books, textbooks for the university. So I'm very, very proud of my mother. as a single mom in those days
Right.
was a big, big challenge, and especially dealing with my brother as a handicapped child.
Wow. As you said, in those days, being a single mother is incredibly difficult. And for her to raise a daughter like yourself, a son like your brother, and to obviously provide what is necessary for you to be successful endeavor. And was there any other part of larger family that you were able to spend time with, relate to?
It was mainly with my mother because even my father remarried and I had two brothers. My events, everything that I did was around. My mother was a woman with a lot of knowledge, and being a professor at the University of Puerto Rico, she was involved in so many things, and she always counted on me to be there with her. So it was, all I experienced from that is how grateful I am to the Lord to have a mother like the one I had.
Did your faith also play a lot into your travel?
Absolutely. Faith. My mother was a woman of faith, and she, especially with the trials that she went through, not only as a single mother, but also as a mother of a challenged, handicapped child. In those days was very, very difficult. So I think that instilled in me the trust to the Lord and to have faith that it doesn't matter the biggest challenges that you face in life, God is going to be there for you.
Indeed, always. So your mother was in academia, and you went into business with IBM. Academia just wasn't your...
Well, it's interesting because when IBM interviewed me in Puerto Rico, the first thing, the position at that time was as a trainer. So academia was important because I used to train computers to customers. Oh, it was fascinating. But it was interesting because I remember the branch manager telling me, Mildred, you're so good training, but you also are very, very good selling. So I would help at those days the marketing side of the house to sell the products while I was training. So it came to a point where the branch manager asked me to switch to sales.
Okay.
And those were my top-notch days, not only financially, but also the way I could meet CEOs and take them with a private jet with IBM, take them to, like, for example, one of my verticals was retail.
Okay.
So at that time, when the point of sale came out, I had to take one of the top executives from Puerto Rico in the corporate jet to Chicago to the retail conference. And it was very interesting because this individual, being a CEO, multimillionaire, he didn't know English.
Oh.
So I had to make arrangements in IBM Corporate to have someone that could speak Spanish and present the whole presentation we had in Chicago for this individual.
Yes.
So traveling, it was a big requirement for me at that time. Then when IBM in retail started doing software, producing software, sometimes software was too expensive for small businesses. So what I did was I brought partners into the system that could develop a software cheaper And then they became my partners in the selling process, and we made very well. So 25 years with IBM was fascinating.
Right.
Fascinating because I learned more about portrait. I learned about vision. And in IBM, you have to be on the go always. You have to be learning. You have to keep coming up with new ideas. We used to call them out of the box ideas.
Sure.
So that we could please that customer. I remember once I was chosen to present to 3,000 IBMers in a conference in New York why I was so successful. And it was interesting because I was the only woman in the stage with 5 handsome men. And it was interesting because in IBM, everything has a protocol. They would read whatever you're going to say so that you are under IBM rules. So I was advised that I was going to be the last one to speak.
Okay.
And I had no problem with that.
Sure.
Happens to be that it was Valentine's Day. And the master of ceremony decided to switch. And then he said, well, because it's Valentine, and we have a wonderful lady here, she's going to start explaining to us why she is so successful. David, that's in milliseconds because you need to break the ice in IBM. You have to come with something in your mind that you break the ice in front of 3,000 individuals. I'm standing there. And all of a sudden, I introduced myself and I said, and I hope and wish that next year conference, it's in the shining star of the Caribbean, Puerto Rico. That was like crazy. The 3,000 people stood up. They started applauding. Imagine everybody wanted to go to the beach and see Puerto Rico and so forth. I remember having the branch manager looking at me like, what have you said? It was phenomenal because then I got this call at my hotel next day from the president of IBM. And then in IBM, we call by the first name. We don't call David because we are all stockholders in IBM.
Okay.
So the president said, Mildred, this is Tom Watson. And I said, yes, how are you, Tom? Mildred, you know what you announced yesterday? You announced that this thing was going to be in Puerto Rico next year. And this is the challenge. We're going to do it if you can close the order. In those days, I was working a competitive game of a customer that we wanted to convert to the IBM, and it was an NCR customer for 80 years. And I was working, it took a year and a half to convert it. And I said, sure, Tom, I'm gonna get it. It was a great event in Puerto Rico. Everybody was fascinated, and that tells you vision. And when you are incorporated, and you look into things that you can accomplish differently, you go ahead.
Wow. Wow.
It was fascinating.
The whole vision part, you are so correct. And not just in business, it's possible in life in general. And this would be in the 80s?
Correct.
So in the 80s, that was, oh boy, that was
You were not born.
high school towards the end of the 80s. College, 87, a woman, a Puerto Rican woman, being at that high stature is incredibly rare.
Very rare. As a matter of fact, in new business, I was the only woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting because you can tell how men react in IBM salaries and how you're doing in terms of numbers. It's confidential. But there is always a huge page in the business side that has your name on it. And how are you doing, but not in numbers, because that's confidential.
Okay.
So you would see the salespeople coming, Mildred, you're number one. Most probably you're going to do $200,000 this year. And then I was very humble. And I would say, oh no, I don't think I would make 200,000. I would never let them know. But you can tell even the competition, because you're a woman, and then especially since I had to travel so much to other areas like Dallas, Atlanta, New York, you can tell that you're in competition.
Sure.
But they did. Now that I look back at that competition, I love it, because when you're running for a position, you are in a competition.
Exactly.
And then how you handle that, it's based on your experience.
What first inspired you to get involved in public service?
In public service, I think I was born with that, because my mother was already involved, and that's what she instilled in me. So we did a lot of things in Puerto Rico in politics. So when I moved here with my children, because I am a mother of five, two of them adopted, and then three children that I gave them birth. Two of them are engineers, single mom again, so they all have master's degree, and one of them has a doctor's degree. And it comes from my mother's teaching. You have to educate, and that's what I did. And that's what they're doing to their children as well. I remember that at that time, when I came here, I said, I am not going to make the money that I used to make in IBM. I'm not going to have a job like I had in IBM, because I took an early retirement.
Okay.
I took an early retirement, and I moved here with my children. And then I started working for the federal government. And then in the federal government, I started as a executive secretary in Baldwin Park, that at that time was the naval station.
Yes.
Okay. I used to run at 4 o'clock in the morning with the nukes, and they would tell me, you're not running in. I said, I belong to that group. I'm running by myself. And it was interesting because my boss was a German, Mr. Grant. He passed away. And he taught me everything that I wanted to know in the federal government. And when the base was going to be closed, he sent me to San Diego to learn how to close bases.
Oh.
That was a great experience.
Yes.
I was in San Diego like for 2 weeks, because in those days they were closing bases.
Yes. I remember.
So yes, today I see Baldwin Park there, and I said, I used to work there. When the base was closed, then he made sure that I could apply for a job in the research park. And then they needed a specialist in EO, equal opportunity. And then what I did, my job was to investigate positions that they were not assigned to minorities. It happens to be that in research park, most of the engineers there are selected from the School of Engineering in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So most of the engineers in research park are from Puerto Rico. So I had to come up with a very, very strategic ideas on how they could qualify
Okay,
for the next GX in those days.
okay.
I had a beautiful experience with a Puerto Rican that he was applying for GS13. There was no GS13 Puerto Rican or Hispanic or Black in that area. So I did a study and I said, this is a great opportunity to have somebody apply. I used to gather them in my apartment in those days, and I said, we need to have somebody. But they would say, no, how are we going to do it? Because they only choose white people.
Okay, it's okay.
I became a whistleblower to all.
Mhm.
And it was interesting because I was the first one as EO to receive who the board, it was a board in those days, qualified or was accepted for the position.
Okay.
In this case, a Puerto Rican and a white individual was chosen.
Mhm.
But the qualified one was the Puerto Rican.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
I decided that I was going to go higher up
Okay.
to defend the case. Not because he was Puerto Rican or Hispanic, but he was the most qualified. I always look who is the most qualified. Happens to be that I told my supervisor that she was a black lady, wonderful. I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call the CEO office and I'm gonna ask for an interview on Monday.
Mhm.
I called my Puerto Rican engineer and said, I need to learn about F-13 in the weekend and I have to be an expert
Whoa.
because I'm gonna defend you on Monday.
Wow.
We got together in my apartment, he told me everything about F-13, and I walked on Monday to the meeting. And we started talking, and I explained the qualifications of the other candidate, and I explained the qualifications of my candidate. And the CEO, the commanding officer, all of a sudden he looked at me, and he said, I have been looking at all your background, and now I understand why you were so successful.
Mhm.
You're selling. And I said, sir, I am not standing here
Mhm.
because he's Puerto Rican. It shows that by the numbers, he is the most qualified.
Okay.
You know what they did? They gave the promotion to both.
To both. Hmm.
Then, of course, but that tells you exactly, even in the armed forces, how things work. I learned a lot.
Mhm.
I learned about the area of Christmas. I didn't know in those days that the Ku Klux Klan was there.
Yes.
And then I was in charge of promoting and organizing a cultural event.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I see an entourage of Black community coming from engineers that, Mildred, you can do that in Christmas. I said, why? This is because we don't go to that area. The Ku Klux Klan lives in that area. And I said, what? And I said, no, we're going to do it there. And
Yeah.
we're going to go there.
Yes.
That tells you how I deal with challenges.
Sure. Yes.
I made sure we have enough buses
Mhm.
to transport everybody in research park. And those days, there were a lot. We had a great event,
Excellent.
and they were very satisfied. So that's how I started. And then one day, being part of the Republican Party, Lou Oliver calls me and said, you need to run for commission.
Wow.
And I said, Lou, And in those days, that was District 3.
Yes.
Mary Johnson was term limit. And Lou Oliver says, you're running. And I said, Lou, I have never run for that type of position. The district is a Democratic, heavy duty district. How am I gonna win? Yes, you're gonna win. You're gonna win. You're an executive woman. You come with a lot of ideas. That district needs a lot of help. You're gonna run. And it was one of those things that you're gonna do it.
Right.
It was not that I wanna run. No, you're gonna do it. Happens to be, I was the underdog. No money. I mean, zero. And they were 5 handsome men running. And I looked and I said, the only way I can win this is by walking.
There you go.
In those days, walking was not even an option.
Mhm.
I walked for 2 years. For 2 years, I don't know how many pair of tennis shoes I wore, but if I walked from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, I would say I got all kinds of insults
Mhm.
because I'm a Hispanic, which I'm very proud. My accent, I love my accent.
Yes.
I love it. And each time I was in a debate or on TV, I never, and this is an IBM technique, I never mentioned the name of my opponent. You don't do that with competition.
That is correct.
So each time they would say, and who are your opponents? 5 handsome men. And then it was 5. So nobody got it was 1.
Correct.
But the 2, I was over the one that became second. The opponent, I decided that my son is going to be different. So I decided I love curved printing.
Okay.
So I said, my sign, it's going to say Mildred, because, Mildred said English name.
Yes.
No Fernandez. And then my opponent started punishing me that I didn't want to use the Fernandez, not to show that I was a Hispanic. Happens to be, and I'm told by people that knows me now, that when they used to see the Mildred in downtown area, who is that Mildred? Oh my gosh, we need to know her, until they knew me.
That's right.
And I won. That's a county commissioner.
Wow.
That was my experience.
Commissioner, I want to stop you there because I'm very curious. And I know we're going to have a conversation about this later. What prompted Lou Oliver, who was the head of the Orange County Republican Party at the time, what prompted him to make that phone call to you? Was it the event in Christmas? And of course, everything else about you. However, was it the event in Christmas and how you're genuine and your experience and all that put together? Is there anything else?
To me, the Republican Party needs a leader like Lou Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Oliver studied you, he identified you, and when he comes to you, there is no way you say no.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I moved here, I immediately registered as a member of the Republican Party. So Lou started studying.
Mm-hmm.
And when he saw my styles and what I knew, that I come from corporate, and that I had these ideas out of the box, he said, this woman needs to run. I remember telling him, that's
Yes.
there is no way, yes, you're going to win because you have the leadership for that.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Lou Oliver was instrumental in in making me run for that position.
Oh, that's just great.
Yes.
Wow, he saw in you. He
Yes,
studied you. He did his own.
correct.
Fascinating. You really don't hear that.
No, because what I see today is people, I want to run for his position. But one of the things that I have found, and I advise a lot of candidates, do you understand the responsibilities that that position entails? If you're running for county commission, you have to sit on Tuesday and learn body language, which I used to do that. I remember that I went every Tuesday to the public policy session. So one day, Ted Edwards,
Yes.
he came to me and he said, Mildred, the only thing left is that you're seated there because you're here every Tuesday.
So you recognize it.
But you see how they vote,
That's right.
who votes with whom.
Mhm.
If you understand strategy, you understand it. And that's what I do. I remember I sat next to a Orlando Sentinel reporter, and it was so out of the box, my things, that the Orlando Sentinel, the last week, decided to assign him to follow me everywhere I went.
Wow. That rarely happens.
That doesn't happen. He would show up at my campaign headquarters at those days, and he would say, Mildred, I'm here to follow you. What are you doing today? And I said, the only thing I can do walk. And it was interesting because Mabel Butler,
Yes.
she came once to my office, and I said it this week when she packed something. I said, Mabel Butler taught me to read the commission book.
Mhm.
Very few commissioners read the book.
Mm.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I would be in pajamas in my house reading the book. Why? Because she taught me that in that book, in the consent agenda, it's where all the millions of dollars goes to the different things.
I've seen that book. Yes.
And it's huge. And you know that we receive it on Wednesday.
That's correct.
Then I would give it to my aide. You have to look into that book and then highlight for me those things that you feel that I should see. But then I not only see that, I would see the whole book. So Ajit Lachandani, the county administrator, at the beginning, you know, he's knowing you. In 2 months, he came once and he said, Commissioner, we have never seen a commissioner that when we're going to brief her or him, you know the questions to ask. Because they come to brief you, but if you know exactly what you're going to ask, I would go directly at page 5 on administration. Can you explain me numbers so and so?
Wow.
And the other thing that I learned before I would suggest anything in the county commission, Ajit was an individual. First of all, he's engineer.
Okay.
Brilliant. I consider Ajit a very brilliant individual. He would, and he had been with the county for many, many years. Things that are being discussed today, I would ask Ajit, what's the history on this thing?
Oh.
Before I could open my mouth, because I didn't want to look like this has been discussed before.
Right.
Some issues with Visit Orlando, I would tell Ajit, give me the history on
Exactly.
this. And then he would say, well, Commissioner, this is the history. Ajit, this is what I would like to bring. Then he would say, no, Commissioner, wait a little longer
Okay.
because he wanted me to look good. Always, always. The staff in Orange County always wanted me to look good.
Excellent.
So I learned the dynamics in the county commission, and in my very personal opinion, this is my personal opinion of what I see, that doesn't happen.
There seems to be a lot of conversation now from just my proximity to the commission, watching the commission meetings, that there is no interest in finding out the history behind a lot of the issues. And sometimes, even the short amount of years that I've lived here, I know a little bit about the history because it's something that I researched for my candidate. I do see that there's that lack of interest and it prolongs the meetings.
Correct. And then I was talking the other day to a lawist, and I said, one of the things that I see is that the county commissioners, they don't read. By the question, that's why it's wrong, because they're not reading the agenda. So they start, and I can tell by the first question, they didn't read it.
There are so many conversations that I want to have with you. We get so much content coming up.
Yeah.
You had another question.
What kind of response did you receive from Hispanic communities in Orange County after your election?
Very much, because I never show off myself as a Puerto Rican, Hispanic, that I want from the corporate world,
Okay.
that I was up here.
Sure.
It's very typical in a Hispanic area that they would offer you coffee.
Okay.
So if I'm walking and Mildred, it's so good to see you. Come in, let me. And maybe I was in a hurry because I would target. I would set goals. Oh, today I want to see 100 houses. And sometimes I was by myself. So Mildred, you need to talk. And then I would sit down. What things concerns you? And I would take note of what same in churches. I visited, in those days, my district had 144 churches. I met all the pastors. I would ask the pastor, what things concerns you in your church? They would tell me gangs or drugs or the need of child care. And that was my agenda when I became a commissioner.
Excellent. You listen to the people
Exactly.
Over 140 churches.
Oh, yes. I remember once the Orlando Sentinel approached me and said, Commissioner, aren't you concerned that you have so many churches in your district? And I said, no, on the contrary, I want more churches. The churches are the liaison with the government, and we can work together to accomplish things for the community. If I can bring to a church the gang unit from the sheriff's department to teach kids, it would be fantastic. The other thing that I did that it was very unusual was to do ride-alongs with the church office at 2:00 in the morning.
Yes.
They would pick me up at midnight because I wanted to know my district after midnight. So I would ride along with the county sheriff or the city police because my district has both. And it was fascinating. And they were fascinated to show me. I remember once the Orlando Sentinel wanted to ride with me. And then we were in an area where there were a lot of graffiti in the buildings. And the deputy says, Commissioner, do you want to it was 2:00 in the morning, do you want to get out so that I can teach you the different gang graffiti and what means. Oh yes, of course, I want to be there. Orlando Sentinels, the reporter, Commissioner, are you going to get down there? Of course. And then he would teach me, Commissioner, this is what this graffiti means.
Yes.
This other. The Orlando Sentinel reporter after that said, I'm leaving with in my car. I'm going home. You're too risky, Commissioner.
What?
But that's how you learn.
Exactly.
How can I approve millions of dollars to the sheriff's office if I don't know how they work?
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
The graffiti and understanding what the graffiti means this is the first time in 40 years, roughly 40 years, 35, that I heard someone outside of Chicago actually talk about what the graffiti signs mean. And coming from Chicago and everything and working with children and families and all that, law enforcement, I had that education. And it's refreshing to know that it wasn't in isolation, that they offer that to you. And I hope they're still offering that, here in Orange County, because it does that to me.
Absolutely, it does. And I remember one time I did a lot of ride-alongs with them every weekend. Wow. I remember once I was with a gang unit.
Okay.
I learned that they dress differently, the gang unit, and it's not in the sheriff's office. He picked me up there, but then he said, Commissioner, I need to stop someplace else. I have to dress differently, and then we're going to do the ride. I remember in that ride that we went to a bowling center. And those guys, the gang unit, are like 7 feet tall, and they carry their guns here. And I said, oh gosh, I think that is a He wanted me to show in a bowling center how the gangs operate. It was fascinating. Then we went to a mall where there is theaters.
Okay.
And we are stationed on cover car because they would take me in on cover cars. And all of a sudden, he is explaining to me the things that they are looking outside a theater when the kids are coming in and coming out. And then all of a sudden, he said, Commissioner, I need to run in the car because I see a bandana that it's a gang and we don't know who they are. You don't move from the car because I wanted to go out. No, don't move, Commissioner. They knew that about. So he parked the car, he arrested the guy, and then he explained to me, now we need to identify what gang is this one because this is new. Parents doesn't understand the dangers of your children to be in theaters by themselves.
Wow.
Oh, I had the best experiences. I learned to do reverse in drugs. I learned to go behind the truck with 10 or 15 sheriff deputy with rifles. I am in behind them to do an arrest on drugs.
I've seen those trucks once in a while come through Orlando. And I'm thinking, okay, something's really good. You see the guys with their weapons, and it's like, something's about to go wrong.
Correct. In this specific case, they hide. They get all together and they hide. In this time was we were behind a church in Alabama because we were going to do an arrest in Colombia. So we got together there. They tell me in which car I'm gonna be. the rest, everybody knows Commissioner Fernandez is there, so we need to protect her if anything happens. It was a wonderful learning experience. It was fascinating. I learned reverse when they arrested doing reverse, and we hide. They do the arrest, then we hide, and everybody else that comes to buy drugs that they don't know they have been arrested, then they keep arresting. So each time the sheriff office would call my office, and they would say to my aide, "We're going to do an arrest. We know the commissioner likes to learn. Would you ask her if she would like to come?" My aide would say, "Oh my gosh, now I have to cancel like 20 appointments because she's not at all there." And I remember Sheriff Kevin Murray.
Yes, yes.
He was the sheriff at that time. He gave me a special plaque because he said, "No one has done this before." But that's how you learn.
Exactly. And then you know, for certain, when you're talking to the community, how safe it is.
Correct.
Because you see it for yourself.
That was fascinating. That was a great, great experience.
Okay, we have another question for us.
Do you feel that being a trailblazer opened doors for others to follow in your footsteps?
Absolutely. And not that I'm going to say it because a lot of people have said it to me. So one day I am at Canada because I was waiting to interview one of your candidates. And she wanted to meet with me, but in the table in front of me was Victor Torres and Amy Metcalf.
Oh,
I
okay.
would never, ever forget what they told me. And they said, "Commissioner, you opened the doors for us.
Oh,
And you have been a trailblazer." And Amy is a very good friend of mine. And you know that part of my story, I was in prison.
yes.
And Amy, when she became state representative, one day she wanted to do a bill on hygiene
Okay.
for the women in prison because they were lacking hygiene. And I helped her to write the bill on how the needs was there, what I experienced inside the prison for all these young women, and the bill was signed. The second bill that she worked on was on pregnancy.
Okay.
In prison, women, pregnant women will give birth by themselves, no help.
What's the one?
And I helped her write it, and it became law. How the person needs to be helped. So, and still, I had a lot of Hispanic candidates, even Anglo candidates.
Come to you.
Comes to me, and Friday I was in a luncheon, and I see these Anglo people that I know since my days in commission. They came, they hugged me,
Yeah.
and they told me, "We miss you. We miss you."
You are incredibly missed. You are. And the number of people that you mentor are in my circles, and the great esteem they have for you. And I'm hoping that, through this particular podcast of yours, that even more people will see you as the trailblazer, the woman with a big heart, a great deal of heart, common sense, and the willingness to open your life to others so that they better understand. Not just, being a politician or political, or just a woman or Puerto Rican, but someone who genuinely cares about the community. And I hope that's something that they take from this. And one of the things that you have been very open about and very sincere about was your charges that led to you going to prison. Do you want to talk about that?
Absolutely. Now I can talk because I'm a woman of faith.
Yes.
I'm a woman of faith, and here goes our good friend Lou Oliver. Again, Lou Oliver came to me and said, "You're ready to be mayor." And I said, "I don't want to be mayor. Who told you I want to?" I'm retired from IBM. I was a county commissioner. This is my 6th year. And I want to complete my 8th year. And then I just want to retire because my children completed college. They are new parents. And I'm a grandmother. And I want to spend time with them. And he said, "No, the Republican Party has not finished it." So he insisted. He would call me, he would take me for coffee almost every day because I would say no. Finally, he said, "Okay, Mildred, you're going to do it." And when the Republican Party asks you to do something, you don't say no.
Okay.
But I learned my lesson as well. Yes, you can say no.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, I had a strategy how to win because I'm a go-getter
Yes.
as a parent, as a businesswoman, as a person. When I tell you that I'm going to do something, I will have everything physically, my strategy, and my prayers to God.
Okay.
And it was very interesting experience because I knew it was going to be tough. It was going to be tough because of the amount of money you need to raise. My opponent in those days was a person that he was part of the groups in downtown. He was able to raise a lot of money. But then, of course, there is also your political enemies.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter if it's Hispanic and or Black, they're your enemies, period. Because they envy. I call those enemies individuals that envy. They envy maybe that I am liked, that I have a vision. As a matter of fact, when I ran as a mayor, my consultant was the consultant that Senator McCain had, and took him to win Florida. So I was very much involved in that campaign because I was the Hispanic in a very high level position. So I used to go to all those meetings for Senator McCain. So this individual met me. So one day he called me and he said, "You're coming in and I want to be with you." So he was my consultant and we wrote a, I think it's like 30-page pamphlet on my vision.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, Orlando Sentinel wrote that they have never seen that in a candidate.
Wow.
We were like 2 months writing because things that maybe he wouldn't cover, things I knew Orange County, I wanted to cover.
Right.
Environment, business. I wanted to give more emphasis in medical tourism. I came with that idea, with the medical tourism. Not only have done, of course, Why? Because I wanted Lake Nona,
Right, right,
I want Lake Nona, and I present that to this.
okay.
I want Lake Nona not only to be a business site, and at that time, we have the research, the labs that they closed.
Mhm.
We had them, and we were going to have all those researchers making that kind of money there.
Okay.
And then I wanted to build a hotel because my vision was, okay, if David comes from Chicago for the medical city to examine because he has a heart problem,
Mhm.
he will bring to the hotel his family,
Exactly,
and then they will go to Disney.
right,
That was my mission. And I present that to Disney, which they love it.
yes,
I present that to hotels and lodging. And I present that to Ramesh from Tabasco.
okay, yes.
They were fascinated with it. I'm sure you have never heard again about medical tourism.
I haven't.
I was the one with the idea.
Oh, we have to bring it back. That part's gonna get cut out. Okay,
Yes,
that's for our
Yes.
friends who are going to.
yes, yes. So, we were writing that, and he will, and I said, we need to write about the environment, the wetlands and so forth.
Right.
Yes, as a matter of fact, Orlando Sentinel studied my vision. And they called me and they said, well, of course they have to criticize. Well, commission, but doesn't say how you're gonna do it. I said, why do you want me to tell you how I'm gonna do it? And that's not only me, it's a vision and has to be approved. But that's what I want to carry out. And then, of course, all of that, and they were polls being done in Tallahassee that I was with.
Mhm.
I knew that I might have challenges, but I never thought that I was going to be an expert.
Wow.
Especially for my children,
Right.
because one of my engineers, he was going to be, the FBI was going to give him a higher a security clearance on
Mm.
things that he does.
Mhm.
And he had called me a week before my arrest.
Mhm.
I would never forget that. And he told me, Mom, the FBI, it's talking just in case they call you. And I said, that's fine. And when I was arrested, that was the only thing I was thinking,
Right.
that maybe he got it.
Okay.
He got it. But the experience, and that's when you talk to God and say, why? What have I done to be arrested?
Mhm.
And then, of course, the research that was done, the people that I hired to investigate, we understood it was pre-planned. It was planned in 2 months. And it was interesting because if you take the time frame, it was in April and in August was the primaries. There is a God,
Always.
the person did not win, Teresa Jacobs won.
Mhm.
And then my experience in prison, why God sent me there? First, to protect me. Because one of the things, because I had to debate not to do a jury. The jury was already selected.
Mhm.
And we had a conference with God. And God told me, take the deal because it's worse. So I went to prison without knowing what a prison was. I am an expert in prison. I would love to see a charter school in prison. I have been talking to Joanna about that. I have been talking to Susan about it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope that God gives me the grace and the opportunity to do a charter school inside the prison as a program, so that those women, when they come, and men, but I want to a pilot program in the prison that I was. I learned so much. It's a lot of waste of taxpayers' money.
Okay.
Eventually, if God gives me the opportunity, I will write a book,
Excellent.
because I do journals every single day. I wrote about the situation spiritually, legal, politically, and the things that those women go through.
Oh, there's a book there.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely.
When I hear about alligator, I said, come on, we have prisons where we have U.S. citizens, and it's the same. Food, rats, so, but God protect me. I got closer to my Lord because I prayed. I read my Bible every single day until the day that I got out. And the enemies that thought that I was going to be dead, look where I am.
Oh my goodness, even bigger
That's
than
God.
ever before.
That's God. That's God.
I think this is a great place to stop because my mind is just racing and there's so much more I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
So much content. And I'm really excited that we have this opportunity to spend with you in your home. You have a beautiful home. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you.
This is beautiful.
I always say God gave it to me.
Yes, yes. And you have done incredibly well. It's beautiful. It's so calm.
Well, let me tell you, I have been honored to have you all here.
Thank you.
First, because it gives us the opportunity to chat
Yes.
to the public, to people to learn more, not only about me, but the process
Yes.
and the community. I think we have a beautiful community, very diverse. I think that right now we are in a stage of knowing each other more. And there are challenges. We have challenges.
Sure. Yes.
But we're going to overcome them.
And some of those challenges, in just our recent news, I want to talk to you about and get your perspective and your perspective from, conservative point of view, being a woman, being a Puerto Rican woman. There's so many things, so many avenues to go down, and I'm sure our audience is
Absolutely. And I'm here for you anytime. I am an open book,
Yes.
and everything that I know, I want people to know, to share for learning, for a learning process.
Yes.
See? So everything in my heart, how I raise my kids, how strict I was, how lovable I am. I have a grandchild, he's 19 now, that he says, nobody messes with Nanny. Because they call me Nanny, but he knows that when I say, this is what I'm gonna do for you, and he knows Nanny will do.
Excellent.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. I can't wait for the next episode. Please, everyone, if you enjoy this type of content, particularly Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, there's a lot more on this way. Please like, share, hit the notification button, and more importantly, comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say, and we'll have that dialogue, a very tactful, respectful conversation. Share with your family, your friends, those influencers in the wild, those candidates and electeds that you think could benefit from what the commissioner has to say. So until the next time, I'm David Washington. This is Commissioner Mildred Fernandez, the Fernandez Legacy. We'll see you the next time.
It was great.
This Awesome. That's great.